The secret behind the dormy name is Margaret Hayes, and I am 73 years old.
Some stories stay buried for years, waiting for the right moment to surface. This is mine.it was a Tuesday morning in November when I received the call. That changed everything. My son Daniel was in intensive care at Memorial Hospital.
Heart attack.
Those two words sent ice through my veins. I arrived within 20 minutes, my hands trembling as I pushed through the heavy hospital doors. The antiseptic smell hit me immediately. I'd always hated that smell. It reminded me of loss. The ICU was on the 4th floor. As the elevator climbed, I tried to steady my breathing.
Daniel was only 47.
Too young for this. Too young. When I reached his floor, a young nurse with kind eyes met me at the desk. She checked her clipboard and led me down a corridor with fluorescent lights that buzzed softly overhead.
My sensible shoes squeaked against the polished linoleum. We
were almost at Daniel's room when she suddenly stopped.
Her hand touched my arm gently.
She leaned close, and I caught the faint scent of lavender. "Hide," she whispered, "and trust me." Before I could respond, she guided me into the room next door. My heart hammered against my ribs.
Through the narrow gap in the doorway, I could see Daniel's room across the hall. Then I understood. A woman entered Daniel's
room.
She wasn't his wife, Karen. This woman was younger, blonde, wearing expensive clothes.
She moved with a familiarity that made my stomach turn.
She kissed my unconscious son on the forehead, her hand stroking his face with unmistakable
intimacy. But what came next shattered me completely. Karen arrived moments later.
She and the blonde woman embraced.
Not the awkward greeting of strangers, but the comfortable hold of old friends. They spoke in hushed tones, but I heard enough. "How long until he wakes up?" the blonde asked. "The doctor said maybe tonight." Karen replied, "Did you move the account like we discussed?"
My blood ran cold. The nurse appeared beside me in the darkened room.
"I'm Emma Richardson," she whispered.
"I've been caring for your son for 3 days. Yesterday, I overheard them planning. They've been having an affair for 2 years."
"Both of them?"
"With your son," my mind reeled. "Both?" Emma nodded. "Karen and Jessica Miller.
They've been together for 5 years.
Your son never knew.
They were using him, Mrs. Hayes, for his money, his business connections. There's more." She showed me her phone. Screenshots, bank transfers, property deeds.
Karen and Jessica had systematically drained Daniel's accounts, transferred assets,
forged documents. They'd been planning to leave him bankrupt. The heart attack wasn't random, Emma explained. They'd been crushing sleeping pills into his evening drinks for weeks. Combined with stress at work, they deliberately orchestrated.
They wanted him incapacitated, not dead.
Easier to control. I stood there, watching these two women plot my son's destruction, and something hardened inside me.
But I also felt Emma's hand squeeze mine. This stranger had risked her job to protect my child. "What do we do?"
I asked. Emma smiled.
"I already called the police. They're reviewing the hospital records now. The medication tampering shows up clearly.
And I may have accidentally copied their text messages to my supervisor when they left their phones charging at the nurse's station." 20 minutes later, 2 detectives arrived.
Karen and Jessica were led away in handcuffs, their faces pale.
With shock, fraud,
conspiracy, attempted murder. I finally entered Daniel's room, sat beside his bed,
held his hand. He woke up the next morning.
When I told him everything, tears streamed down his face, not for Karen's betrayal, but because he felt foolish, lost. "MOM," he said. "How did I miss it? Love makes us
blind, sweetheart," I told him.
"But it also brings the right people into our lives at the right time." Emma checked on us every hour.
Brought Daniel extra pillows. Brought me tea. On the 3rd day, as Daniel slept, she sat with me. "Why?"
"Did you help us?" I asked. She was quiet for a moment.
"My father went through something similar.
I was too young to stop it.
He lost everything and never recovered." When I heard them talking, I thought, maybe this time I could make a difference. I took her hand.
"You saved my son's life." The legal process took months. Karen and Jessica were convicted. Daniel recovered fully, though the emotional scars took longer to heal.
He sold the house, started fresh. But here's what matters most. Emma became part of our family.
She and Daniel grew close during his recovery.
Slowly, carefully, built on
honesty and respect.
They married 2 years later in my garden, surrounded by white roses. At the reception, Emma found me sitting under the oak tree.
She wore her grandmother's pearls with her wedding dress.
She looked radiant. "Thank you for trusting me that day," she said. I smiled. "Thank you for whispering when you could have stayed silent." She hugged me, and I felt the warmth. of genuine love.
The kind that asks nothing and gives everything. Daniel and Emma have 2 children now. They named their daughter Grace after me.
Margaret Grace. Sometimes Karen's name comes up.
Daniel has forgiven her in his own way.
Not for her sake, but for his peace.as for me. I learned something important.
Betrayal can destroy us, or it can clear the path for something better.
Sometimes the worst moments reveal the best people. That young nurse who whispered behind a hospital
Thor became my daughter. She gave me grandchildren who fill my days with laughter.
She showed me that kindness from strangers can reshape entire lives. I'm 73 now.
My hair is silver. My hands show age. But when I look at my family,
Gathered around my table each Sunday, I remember that terrible November day, and I thank God for nurses who whisper, for hearts brave enough to intervene.
for second chances disguised as emergencies, the secret behind that door wasn't just betrayal.
It was also redemption.
Love, the beginning of something beautiful, born from something broken. That's the story.
I want you to remember, not the darkness we escaped, but the light that found us when we needed it most. Trust can be rebuilt.
Love can be real.
And sometimes hiding behind a door is exactly where you need to be to see the truth that sets you
Free.